Day 6 of Drawing Who Monsters. Today's monster, the Cyberman. The Cybermen are a race of cybernetically augmented humanoids. They varied greatly in design between numerous different cyber subspecies, and originated independently through parallel evolution from various locations across time, space and universes, including Mondas, Telos, Planet 14, Marinus, a Mondasian colony ship, the Earths of End Space and Pete's World, and at least one other parallel universe. In their first appearance, the 10th Planet, 1966, they are humans from Earth's nearly identical, twin planet, of Mondas who upgraded themselves into cyborgs in a bid for self-preservation. 40 years later, the two-part story, Rise of the Cybermen and The Age of Steel, 2006, depicted Cybermen invented again in a parallel universe London as a business corporation's attempt at upgrading humanity. Although almost all Cybermen lacked emotions, as they considered them to be a weakness and instead embraced pure logic, they were often born out of a human civilization's, or an individual's, fear for survival, which was often inflicted by threats such as poverty or the degradation of a civilization's world. Other times, the Cybermen were born out of an extreme desire for immortality. Through the misuse of cybertechnology, Cybermen could be born on other worlds even if a civilization was not burdened by threats to survival, such as on Samotus, Centuria and Catrigan Nova. Due to parallel evolution, there were numerous similarities and differences between groups of Cybermen. Most lacked names or individuality beyond a rank, and all sought to fully conquer their respective universes to ensure their survival and upgrade all compatible life forms to ensure those beings survived as well. Some sought to conquer other universes as well, or even the entire multiverse. Unable to naturally breed themselves, the Cybermen most often attempted to achieve these goals via a process called cyberconversion, the physical and mental re-engineering of organic lifeforms, often humans and humanoids with similar biologies, into Cybermen. Throughout their collective history, the Cybermen established many cyber empires and engaged in many different cyber wars, often against humanity, which eventually led to the Cybermen being pushed to the edge of extinction. However, they always found ways to survive and rebuild, ultimately allowing the Cybermen to survive until the end of End Space. The Cyberman form was known as a cyberbody, prose, Doctor Who and the 10th Planet, or cybersuit. Audio, real-time, though the Cybermen's designs varied greatly across time, space, and universes, the many versions had several things in common. Nearly all were predominantly silver in color, the 10th Planet et al., except for the Cyber Scouts, who were completely black, smiley face attack of the Cybermen, and a wooden Cyberman, who was, due to the material used, almost entirely brown. The time of the Doctor. Many Cybermen also exhibited exposed circuitry and tubing on a rubber or mylar-textured outer skin, the 10th Planet et al., although some Cybermen had entirely metal bodies with no exposed circuitry. A Good Man Goes to War, Nightmare in Silver, comic, Supremacy of the Cybermen, while some Cybermen had highly muscular cyberbodies, comic, Supremacy of the Cybermen, the Cybermen that attacked the Dreadnought had skeletal cyberbodies. Comic, Dreadnought. The head of a Cyberman was known as a cyber helmet, and was often characterized with a pair of side handles on the left and right-hand sides of the helmet, which connected together above the Cyberman's helmet. Smiley face the Moonbase et al. However, there were notable exceptions to this trait. The Cybermondans possessed a third side handle connecting from the back of their heads. Smiley face the 10th Planet, the Cybermondans of the Mondasian colony ship used their side handles as an emotional inhibitor in order to stop them caring about the extreme pain that they experienced both during and after their cyber conversions. The patience that these latter Cybermondans were evolved from lacked side handles. Smiley face World Enough and Time, by contrast, some cyber controllers lacked side handles, instead possessing enlarged craniums. Smiley face the Tomb of the Cybermen, Attack of the Cybermen, Comic, Supremacy of the Cybermen. One cybercontroller's vision of the Age of the Cyberiad featured a Cyberman whose cyber helmet also lacked any side handles. Comic, Supremacy of the Cybermen. Some Cybermen also possessed weaponry within their cyber helmets. The Cybermondans could fire orange, fiery lasers from the centerpiece of their side handles. Smiley face the Dr. Falls, while the cyber helmets of cybernomads contained 4 gun barrels which fired quick shots. Smiley face Revenge of the Cybermen, Killing Ground. Cyber drones were cyber helmets capable of flight, with small, blue thrusters on their undersides and backs. They could fire blue laser blasts from their iPods. Smiley face Ascension of the Cybermen. Other features. The Cybermondans of Mondas notably retained organic, human hands. Smiley face the 10th planet. In contrast, the Cybermondans of the Mondasian colony ship sported Caucasian gloves instead. Smiley face World Enough and Time, the Dr. Falls. Most other Cybermen were entirely covered by their metallic suits. Smiley face the Moonbase et al. Some partial conversions were known to exist that still held human features, among them Tobias Vaughn. Smiley face the Invasion. The Cybermen on the Moonbase and those released by Eric Klieg on Telos were slim and spoke in a monotone, buzzing voice, emphasizing their lack of emotion. Smiley face the Moonbase, the Tomb of the Cybermen. These Cybermen were identified by the archivist Hegelia as Cyberdelosians. Audio, the early Cybermen. The Cybermen who attempted to destroy Earth in 2526 had bulkier, more imposing forms and deeper voices. Smiley face Earth Shock. Hegelia termed these Cybermen as cyberneomorphs. Audio, the ultimate Cybermen. Similar Cybermen also existed in the 1980s. Smiley face Silver Nemesis, observed by Hegelia to be cyberisomorphs following the appearance of time-traveling neomorphs in 1985. Audio, the ultimate Cybermen, Attack of the Cybermen. A Black Cyberman. Smiley face Attack of the Cybermen. Early Mondasian Cybermen had a quavering voice which put inflected syllables in a seemingly random, sing-song manner. Their suits were not entirely metallic, the face and hands being instead covered in a sort of hardened medical gauze. Smiley faced the 10th planet. Those on the colony ship, like Bill Potts, spoke like this as well. Smiley faced the Dr. Falls. There were Cybermen in the Doctor's universe that had similar appearances to the Cybermen of Pete's world, the difference being the lack of a Cybus logo on their chest. 2 Cybus units were in a post-Cyber Wars collection, implying the 2 cyber species had united by the war. After recovering from the Cyber Wars, the Cybermen had advanced suits. Smiley face Nightmare in silver, identified as weapons-grade Cybermen. Smiley face the Dr. Falls. This evolution was possibly as a result of cross-pollination between the Cybermen of Mondasian evolution and the Pete's World Cybermen. Smiley face the Honiverse. Their chest units glowed blue. They were sleeker and far less bulky than previous models. No circuitry was visible outside the suit and they developed a plethora of new features. The post-Cyber War Cybermen could move at blurring speed, to the point where everything around them would seem frozen. They were capable of rotating their heads 180 degrees, as well as being able to detach body parts such as their hands or their head. Their armor was thick enough to deflect lasers, though an anti-cyber gun could completely disintegrate them. Smiley face Nightmare in silver, the time of the Doctor. Conversion. Cyberconversion. Smiley face Attack of the Cybermen. Cyberconversion was the process by which compatible beings were physically and mentally altered into Cybermen. This process was necessary for the Cybermen to increase in number and was carried out in many locations. Smiley face Attack of the Cybermen. Partial conversions occurred. In a partial conversion, the subject took on several features of the Cybermen. For example, Tobias Vaughn's torso was immune to gunfire. Smiley faced the invasion. Sometimes, the conversion could be interrupted, yet still partly functional, such as with Ashid. Smiley faced the haunting of Villa Diodati. A great weakness of the conversion was they could only convert species close to humans. This left Time Lords like the Doctor safe for a time. Smiley face closing time, however, the post-Cyber Wars variety no longer had this drawback, and were able to temporarily incorporate his mind to create the Cyber Planner, Mr. Clever. Smiley face Nightmare in Silver. A further upgrade to the process resulted in Cybermen being able to convert corpses, regardless of their condition. However, this could only work with the Nethersphere, or a similar matrix-like computer. The minds of the dead, or software, would be stored until their bodies were turned into Cybermen. While stored, they could choose to delete their emotions. Smiley faced death in heaven. Vulnerabilities. The Fifth Doctor uses Adric's gold-edged badge against the Cyber Leader. Smiley face Earthshock. Different Cybermen had a variety of weaknesses. The most notable was the element gold which, being non-corrosive, choked their respiratory systems, a property exploited by the glitter gun used during the Cyber Wars. Smiley face Revenge of the Cybermen, Earthshock, Silver Nemesis, Audio, Last of the Cybermen. On occasion, the mere touch of gold was toxic to them. Gold coins, gold-tipped arrows, or gold particles could destroy, or, in the case of the particles, at least weaken, them. Smiley face Earthshock, Silver Nemesis, Ascension of the Cybermen, gold, and gold particles, also blocked their sensors and caused cybermats to malfunction. Smiley face the Revenge of the Cybermen. During the Cyber Wars, these Cybermen merged technology with the Cybus variety, eliminating more of their lingering organic needs, like the respiratory system, though contact with gold could still briefly scramble the operating systems. They were also still vulnerable to electromagnetic pulses from hand devices, especially when amplified by the 11th Doctor's sonic screwdriver. An enemy anti-cyber cannon was also capable of outright destroying them, though they later evolved and became immune to it. Smiley face Nightmare in Silver. These models were vulnerable to their own blasters. Smiley face Death in Heaven. These models could also be disabled when attacked by a Mondasian's cybernetic laser beam and the Master's laser screwdriver after several seconds. The 12th Doctor's sonic screwdriver and Missy's sonic umbrella could also combine to form a barrier around the Cybermen to slow them down. Smiley face the Doctor Falls. A special wooden variant of these Cybermen could also be destroyed by the flamethrower on its own wrist. Smiley face the Time of the Doctor. Other fatal weaknesses of the Cybermen included the combination of solvents known as polycocktail. Smiley face the Moon Base, excessive levels of radiation. Smiley face the 10th planet, Audio, Telos, and the scent of a particular type of flower. Comic, Flower Power. Cybermen affected by the Cerebration Mentor, an emotion-enhancing device, went mad. Smiley faced the invasion. Bullets were unable to damage Cybermen. Explosives and bazooka shells took them down easily. Smiley faced the invasion. Silver Nemesis, unit developed gold-tipped rounds to combat Cybermen. Smiley faced Battlefield. At close range, attacks with energy and laser weapons could kill Cybermen. Smiley face Earthshock. Rastan warrior robots counted Cybermen among the many beings they could kill. Although equipped only with javelins and blades, the technology of the robots allowed them to easily destroy several Cybermen. Smiley faced the 5 Doctors. Many versions of Cybermen could be weakened by damage to their emotional inhibitor. Feedback loops, Smiley face closing time, and neural inhibitor systems were some of many ways to damage a Cyberman's emotional inhibitor, although the 13th Doctor only assumed the post-Cyberwars Cybermen would be weak to a neural inhibitor system. Smiley face ascension of the Cybermen. The Mondasian Cybermen the 12th Doctor encountered on board the Mondasian colony ship were shown to be vulnerable to their own cybernetic blasters. The Master's laser screwdriver could also destroy one with a single strike. While the farmhand standard rifles on floor 0507 barely damaged Bill Potts' cyber-converted self, the partially cyber-converted patients could be disabled by them temporarily. In addition, these Mondasian Cybermen, including their predecessors and their later evolutions, which resembled the Cybermen of the Cyber Legions and the Cyberiad, could be easily incinerated by igniting the fuel lines of the colony ship. Smiley face the Doctor falls. Hierarchy. The Cybermen that crash-landed in Colchester, 2011 lacked a cyber controller and nearly converted Craig Owens into one. Smiley face closing time. There were also cyber drones, partially converted humans, worker units who were used for the slave labor. Comic, enemy mine. Cyber slaves were humans converted by being infected with a nanoform. They could fire electricity from their hands and follow basic orders. If desired, a cyber leader could easily disable them. Game, Blood of the Cybermen. Technology. Overview. The Cybermen forces in 2526 used the Cyberlance, a powerful, handheld cutting weapon. They also used the Cyberscope, a device that allowed cyber commanders to view the battlefield remotely and access a computer database, containing, among other data, information on their race's encounters with the Doctor. Smiley face Earthshock. Cybermen in 1986 had a built-in distress signal in their heads that could be activated manually. Smiley face attack of the Cybermen. The chest unit of a Cyberman was vital to the operation of its life support system. Audio, tell us. The head of Cybermen in 1873 contained a neural generation unit. When removed from the head and with a suitable power source, this unit could be adapted to transmit a signal to distances up to 200 light-years. Audio, the Silver Turk. The Cybermen's eyes in 1873 were photocell. Audio, the Silver Turk. While the Cybermen showed that they were capable of time travel at several points in their history, Smiley face Earthshock, the haunting of Villa Diodati, audio, the reaping, it was still primitive, limited and even dangerous as late as the 30th century. Smiley face illegal alien, should the Cybermen have mastered time travel, they would have become strong enough to crush the Draconians, the Sontarans, the Time Lords and even the Daleks. WC, real-time, audio, real-time. By the end of the Cyber Wars, the Cybermen had gained the ability to instantly adapt to anything that posed a threat to damaging their bodies. Thus most methods of killing them became obsolete after one use, and this instant immunity was shared through the Cyberiad. The only guaranteed method of destroying the Cybermen was to completely destroy the planet they were on at the time. Smiley face nightmare in silver, these Cybermen could also learn a person's identity in seconds using a scanner in their chest plate. They could also self-destruct, releasing spores to upgrade a corpse into a Cyberman as well, albeit allowing some to retain their free will. Smiley face death in heaven. Weaponry. A Cyberman with a gun. Smiley face the invasion. Weapons used by the Cybermen were known as cyberweapons. Smiley face Doctor Who and the Cybermen. When they attacked Earth in 1986, Cybermen carried large, handheld, energy weapons. Smiley faced the 10th planet. On the Moon in 2070, Cybermen could produce arcs of electricity from their hands to stun, disable and kill. Smiley faced the tomb of the Cybermen, they also possessed a cannon that could operate in the vacuum of space. The virus Neurotrope X was used by Cybermen to incapacitate humans. Smiley faced the Moon base, cybermats were sometimes used to spread this virus amongst a population. Smiley face revenge of the Cybermen. In the 21st century, the Cybermen who attacked Space Station W3 had death rays built into their chest units. Smiley face the wheel in space. The Cybermen encountered by Unit in the late 20th century displayed these same built-in death ray weapons. They also carried large rifles that emitted a flame for medium-range combat on London streets. They also possessed a Megatron bomb that was capable of destroying all life on Earth. Smiley face the invasion. The Cybermen who attacked the Nerva beacon had their weapons built into their helmets. They were activated with the touch of a hand. Smiley face revenge of the Cybermen. Cybermen in 2526, the invaders of Voga and the Cybermen removed by a time scoop to the death zone had portable cyberbombs capable of devastating a planet. Smiley face Earthshock, revenge of the Cybermen, the Five Doctors. In time, the Cybermen came to favor the handheld cybergun over the built-in weapon. Smiley face the invasion onwards. The Mondasian Cybermen encountered by the 8th Doctor and the 12th Doctor had a powerful laser weapon built into their head frame. It emitted a thick yellow laser beam powerful enough to stun Destrii, kill humans, Comic, the Flood, cause large explosions, nearly kill the Doctor, destroy other Mondasian Cybermen, melt through steel and incinerate a fully evolved Cyberman when combined with the Master's upgraded laser screwdriver. When grappling a target, they could also emit an electromagnetic pulse that, while non-fatal, was powerful enough to trigger a Time Lord's regenerative process. The 12th Doctor was rendered unconscious and suffered impaired mobility for several weeks after being attacked in this way. The Doctor falls. Genesis of the Cybermen. Although the Saxon Master once referred to Bill Potts' cyberconversion as the genesis of the Cybermen, Smiley face world enough and time, the 12th Doctor corrected Missy's repeating of the statement by calling the Cybermen a product of parallel evolution, as they always get started where there were people, such as on Mondas, Telos, Earth, Planet 14 and Marinus. Smiley face the Doctor falls. These various groups of Cyberman were created for many different reasons. By most accounts, the Cyberman of Mondas were born out of desperation to survive in an unsustainable environment. Smiley face the 10th planet, the Cybermen of Telos were created as an attempt to gain immortality. Smiley face Doctor Who and the Cybermen, while the Cybermen of Earth in an alternate universe were created for, at least partially, commercial reasons, a drive to find humanity's next upgrade. Smiley face rise of the Cybermen, the Age of Steel. History. Creation on Telos. Some of the Cybermen originated on the planet Telos. The inhabitants of Telos sought to achieve immortality with cybernetics. They gradually replaced parts of their bodies with machinery until they reached the point where they replaced their brains with computers. These first Cybermen became aware of their lack of love and emotion and found a new goal: power. Smiley face Doctor Who and the Cybermen, Doctor Who and the Tomb of the Cybermen, The Revenge of the Cybermen, Doctor Who and the 10th Planet. Something forced many of the Cybermen to leave Telos and take refuge on Mondas. Smiley face Doctor Who and the 10th Planet. Some Cybermen remained in the cybertombs of Telos. Smiley face Doctor Who and the Tomb of the Cybermen. Creation on Mondas. One account did not explain the earliest origins of the Cybermen, but showed Cybermen existed on Mondas alongside the Lizard Kings, the Mondasian versions of Silurians, as well as the Sea Devils. These Cybermen died out until centuries later when Mondasian archaeologists discovered the remnants of ancient cyber technology. Presumably, the Mondasians recreated the ancient Cybermen. Comic, the Cybermen. Another account showed that as Mondas traveled beyond the outermost planets of the solar system, conditions on the planet deteriorated. The 5th Doctor and Nyssa arrived on Mondas prior to the rise of the Cybermen. They discovered the survivors living in an underground city roughly on a parallel with Britain in the 1950s, although with more advanced technology. They witnessed the Mondasians slowly slide toward cyber-conversion, as the faction had. The Mondasian cyber-conversion program was conceived by the cybernetic Gestalt intelligence controlling Mondas as a solution to the planet's increasingly desperate situation. These early Cybermen were, however, plagued with serious design flaws, and the conversion method proved very unstable, as the biological systems of most of its unfortunate victims would fail soon after they were turned, causing most subjects to perish. The conversion project's chief scientist, Dr. Man Allen, managed to discover a solution when the doctor was captured by Mondasian police. By using data extracted from a forcibly biological analysis of the doctor, she discovered an extra brain lobe unique to Time Lords, dedicated to mechanical and other bodily functions. She was able to replicate this trait into a new Cyberman prototype, greatly increasing the survival rate of the newly converted. The doctor was horrified about his unwilling hand in the creation of the cyber race, so much so that he tried to derail history by poisoning the cyber planner before it could manage to convert the entire population, and afterwards he helped the Mondasians with starting a research program into how to undo the conversion process. However, after the doctor and Nissa's departure, it turned out his efforts were ultimately in vain, as the Cybermen soon overpowered and converted the remaining Mondasians. Audio, spare parts. A distant cousin species to the Cybermen, the Cyberons, referred to Mondas as the original homeworld. Smiley face flight of the Cyberons, the Cybermen evolved and changed on Mondas. The Cyberfaction, a group dedicated to more radical cyber conversion, moved to Planet 14. The Mondans stayed on their home planet. Smiley face iceberg, the original population of Planet 14 also came to develop into their own sect of Cybermen. Smiley face the Doctor Falls. Creation on Marinus. One account stated the planet Marinus was an earlier name for Mondas. According to this account, the Voord acquired Worldshaper technology to accelerate time and turn themselves into full cyborgs. The Cybermen later remembered this planet as Planet 14. Comic. The World Shapers, the 12th Doctor, however, insisted that Mondas, Planet 14, and Marinus were all separate worlds, and that each was a separate origin point for different cyber races. Smiley face the Doctor Falls. Creation on a Mondasian colony ship. One group of the Mondasian Cybermen were first created on a newly built Mondasian colony ship. The ship nearly fell into a black hole and, as a result, time on the bottom of the ship moved slower than at the top, the former being where descendants of the original skeleton crew lived. With their part of the ship becoming old and uninhabitable, the colonists began transforming themselves into Cybermen with the participation of the Saxon Master. In front of his future self, he presented a fully cyber-converted Bill Potts to the 12th Doctor and declared this ship to be the genesis of the Cybermen. These Mondasian Cybermen, smiley face world enough and time, continued to evolve towards more robotic forms and greater technology. Most of them were destroyed by the Doctor. However, Nardole feared they would eventually regroup and continue Operation Exodus, escaping the doomed ship to spread throughout the universe. Smiley face the Doctor Falls. In time, the conflict between the Cybermen and villagers under Nardole's protection was sorted. Smiley face twice upon a time. Creation in other universes. Independently, John Lumick, the CEO of Cybus Industries, created the Cybermen of a parallel Earth. These Cybermen believed that all of humanity needed to be upgraded to cyberform so that information would never be lost and that the humans' physical and emotional weaknesses were abolished. Cyberconversion usually involved removing the brain of the subject painfully and placing it within a suit of armor. Smiley face rise of the Cybermen. Once complete, the new Cybermen had a special implant that prevented them from feeling emotions. If the implants were disrupted, the Cybermen entered into a traumatic state caused by the pain of the conversion. This inevitably resulted in an agonizing death from the emotional overload. Smiley face the Age of Steel. Cybermen created by Missy. In the 2010s, Missy founded 3W, Smiley Face Dark Water, and began preserving bodies of the rich, Smiley Face Death in Heaven, who believed their minds stayed conscious after death, in tanks filled with dark water which only showed the organic material, allowing Missy to convert them into Cybermen, supposedly exoskeletons to protect the bodies while uploading their minds to the nethersphere, a matrix data slice. There, she removed their emotions to download them back into their bodies and create a cyber army of the dead. Smiley Face Dark Water, Missy personally referred to these Cybermen as her Cyberdears, Smiley Face Meet Missy, or her boys. Smiley Face Death in Heaven. When Danny Pink died, the 12th Doctor and Clara Oswald found 3W and Missy activated the Cybermen and released them from their tanks in St. Paul's Cathedral. Smiley Face Dark Water. The Cybermen marched into the streets where they were greeted by curious onlookers before UNIT arrived to confront them. The Cybermen flew off until one was over each area of major population density in the UK, then self-destructed, creating a rainstorm of cyber pollen that went into the ground and cyber-converted all of the world's dead. The Doctor teamed with UNIT to try to stop them, despite the human race being outnumbered, while Clara was saved by Danny, who was cyber-converted but retained his emotions as he chose not to delete them, and his emotional inhibitor was thus never activated. When Missy broke free, she had the Cybermen attack the UNIT presidential plane Boat 1. The Doctor got sucked out of the plane in the attack, but managed to get into his TARDIS. Missy gave control of the Cyberman army to the Doctor, who then gave control to Danny. Danny, who retained control even with his inhibitor, ordered the Cybermen to fly into the rain clouds and self-destruct, burning up the clouds and stopping the conversion of humanity. A few minutes later, a surviving rogue Cyberman made out of the Brigadier shot at Missy after having saved his daughter Kate Stewart from the attack on Boat 1 and flies off. Smiley Face Death in Heaven. Stay tuned for the next monster, the Daleks.